Hey, what's going on, everyone? Sly here with Flo. And Flo, so we watched that full podcast of Mark Schlereth, and we all know that he was there covering the 49ers, the commentary. And so you get to interview Brock Purdy, and you just get to learn so much from it. And Mark Schlereth, he talked about it. And the cool thing is he's going to be doing the game again, so he's going to get to pick a few other guys' brains. But this was awesome, man. He talks about him, not comparing him to Joe Montana, but seeing a lot of traits. It's pretty awesome what he says. Let's check this out real quick, and then we'll discuss it.
It's a story about Joe Montana, and I'll keep it short. But
I think 49er fan is okay with a long Montana story. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I know what you're saying. I know.
But yeah, it was one of those situations where the question to Steve, it was when Steve and Steve Young and Joe Montana were there, and Steve was like, how does, Montana get through progression so quick? And, what does he do? And like, I can't 1, 2, 3. And, and I got pressure, and he's just like, whoop, I'm like, how do you do that? Right. Like, that was how the story was relayed to me. And, Joe's like, I ain't telling you how I get through. Like, that's for you to figure, like the competition, that internal competition. But anyhow, the way it worked is like Joe had eventually said, and this is, through my relationship with Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan was coaching, and he just said, basically, man, I eliminate. So pre-snap, I look at the look. When I snap it, if I don't like the defense they're in based on the route combination we're running, I don't even look at it to see if it gets open. I don't go 1 to 2. I'm like, nope, I don't like that. I'm off. I'm onto the backside. And so it just was like, confirm it. Nope, go to the backside. Like that, if you want to talk about, and I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is Joe Montana, but if you want to talk about getting through a progression like that, that's how that kid operates. He operates like Joe Montana operated in his thought process. And then sitting down talking to him, was like, walk me through your process, like what you, and he's like, man, so we break the huddle, man. I know the formation, where we're in, what we're motioning to, what we're shifting to, and what the route combination is, where I want to go with the ball. If I get this look, confirm it, safety rotation, all this stuff. And he walked me through, Z's running this, X is running the F's running this, Z's, X is running this, my fullback is running, my Y is running that, whatever. And he walked me through it, and I go, I know as soon as I see this, then I know based on that look on the front side, I know that my back is in one-on-one with the backside hook defender, right? So I know I've got a one-on-one matchup with Christian. So instantly, even before I go through my progression, before I snap the ball, I'm like, I've already eliminated it. If I get this, I'm getting to the one-on-one on the backside. So then I don't even have to confirm. I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. Let me get to because I know where my best matchup is. Like him walking through this, and I'm not doing it justice because I speak, it's like introductory to Spanish, right? I don't speak quarterback, right? I understand what you're telling me, but I don't articulate as well because I've never had to do it. Right. But I get what the process is, and the kid is super sharp.
All right, man. So Joe Montana, Brock Purdy in the same breath. That's pretty amazing. Just the fact that they're both able to before the snap, and that's what was it Mike Shanahan, because he used to coach him, was talking to him when he talked to Mark Schlereth about it, and that's something that's so it's key, man. We had quarterbacks in the past. I don't want to throw names out there, but there's guys out there that didn't know how to read the coverages. One guy that comes in, he was a good quarterback. We just couldn't read coverages. Kaepernick. Before snap, he didn't know what the hell was going on. Kind of looked a little bit like Trey Lance did the same thing. Sean Hill, definitely. Ken Dorsey. Those guys just before the snap, they couldn't do it. But Brock Purdy, he's able to do it, and it seems like it's taking him to that next level of if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, Super Saiyan, it's starting to get him up to that next level. But what do you think about hearing this from Mark Schlereth, and how he was impressed, and he kind of a little bit of comparison to Joe Montana?
Well, first off, man, Mark Schlereth, man, you know me, I was never a big fan of this guy when he was on like the ESPNs, but actually now truly listening to him, this guy knows his stuff, man.
Yeah, he does.
And obviously he played against Joe Montana, and I think he even said at one time that like Joe Montana was the only guy who'd actually watch operate, so he knows what he's talking about. He's actually paid attention when Montana was out there. And the thing I really took from this was what he was saying about how Purdy and Montana, obviously the plays are designed to go a certain way, but they're able to see things coming beforehand, how the freaking defenses are set up to try to prevent that. And he's like, no, I'm not going to force this just because that's what we want. We're not going to force it. 'Cause that's how it is in sports. Obviously, you want to run the best play possible, but a lot of times it doesn't happen. It doesn't come to fruition. So you got to be smart enough to figure out what's the next best option. And that's what he's talking about, that these guys are able to be like, okay, I don't think this is going to work, so let me go here. I'm not going to force it. And that's why guys like Purdy and Montana, they don't really throw picks. Obviously, Purdy had that 4 interception game, but for the most part, man, he's pretty much protected that ball all year long. And that's what pretty much Schlereth's saying. He's like, these guys are so smart. They might not be the greatest arm talents, but they're able to just process things within instance. And that's why they're so successful. They're so good. Plus, they just got that belief in themselves where they're like, hey, no matter what, I'm going to do me. I'm going to do my thing because I know I'm going to get us a W. But, man, what do you think about this take?
Yeah, hearing him talk, it did remind me a lot of similarities because with him and Joe Montana, didn't have the strongest arm, but before the pre-snap read, it seemed like these guys are like identical for each other. They know exactly before the snap, I'm not going to go here, you know. And then when he was talking about Christian McCaffrey, he's like, okay, he's going to be open, but let's see what else I have before that, you know. Christian's going to have one-on-one coverage right here, but I think we might have something else. So it was like, man, it was just like music to my ears. And now you get kind of why Brock Purdy, I think number 2 all time in yard attacks, like behind was it Kurt Warner with 9.9 yards air attack, and then you had Purdy number 2 with what 9.6, 9.7, something crazy like that. So now it makes sense why he's so good at what he does, you know. Just he knows he could read the defense right away, and Kyle Shanahan, he actually does a good job at motioning guys, seeing if it's a man zone coverage. And I know listening to JT Sullivan's quarterback school, he's kind of critical of when Christian McCaffrey, he's in the backfield and he rolls to his left, rolls to his right before the actual play. And he's like, I don't get why they're doing that, because Christian, he's got to run like a 6 yard and then he'll do like a little post or something. And it's like, why isn't he just at the line of scrimmage? And then this week they talked about it, and he's like, oh, well, this play, it actually worked because now you know it's a zone, it's a man, and now you know Brandon Ayuk's going to be open right here. So Kyle Shanahan, he's doing a great job too at designing these plays. It just looks like it's both these guys are just on the same page right now. They're on the same page, which pumps me up because everyone's talking about the weapons and all that. Man, these other guys had the same weapons. CJ Beathard, Mullins, but instead they had Mostert, who was like number 2 in rushing yards. So they had talent too. Jimmy had the same talent, but with Brock Purdy, you just know it's different. You know this guy knows before snap what's going on with the defense. He's able to read everything. So Mark Schlereth pointing that out and having compared him kind of to, he said he didn't compare him, but he said there's a lot of similarities right there. I mean, it just got me jacked up, man. Before the season, I said he was, before the season, I said Pro Bowl. And then week 3, I said he was the best quarterback since Steve Young we've had on this team. And man, now we're hearing Joe Montana. I'm jacked up, man.
Yeah, man. It's pretty good freaking praise just to be able to be compared to Montana as far as like
that's what made him so great too.
Yeah, because obviously Montana, he was that guy, but still it was just more because of this that he was so successful, because he was able to just freaking get that ball out so quickly. And obviously with him as our quarterback, man, that started a dynasty, and I think that's what Purdy could do. He could start a dynasty for us. Obviously we got to get it done this year, but man, if he gets it done this year, after that, I don't think there's going to be any stopping us, because we're going to get better in the offensive line in the upcoming years. So if we get this one, we get that monkey off their back like Steve Young did in the 90s, man, it's going to be a special run for us.
And a lot of people always talk about, Brock Purdy, the weapons and all that. And then they compared it also with with Montana. Oh, he had all these weapons. But remember those first 2 Super Bowls? He didn't even have Jerry Rice, He didn't have Jerry Rice on his team. So why was that? Because he had this right here. So I think it's later down the road. It's gonna be 3-4 years when, you know, Debo gets older, Ayuk gets older, Kittle gets older. I think he's gonna be just fine. I really think he's gonna be just fine because he has that smarts where he knows where the defense is doing before snap, and that right there, it's like a cheat code, man. There's guys out there that had it. I remember Peyton Manning had it, Tom Brady had it, where before the plays they know exactly what the defense is doing. So it's amazing to see that. And there's quarterbacks out there that struggle because they don't know what the hell's going on. Again, going back to JT O'Sullivan, when he was reviewing Trey Lance in the offseason last year, and then week 1, week 2, he's like, Trey Lance reminds me of a guy, he's blindfolded, and right when before the hike, he gets a blindfold off, and then he says hike, and he doesn't know what the hell's going on defense. And so it's just it's huge, man. Such a huge advantage to be that smart. And we've talked about this before, but when you get so high on that Wonderlic test with Drew Brees, Pat Mahomes, and you have that like genius mentality, you're going to be balling out. It's just something that you can't be taught. Give me the mind over Jamarcus Russell's arm any day of the week, man. I'm telling you right now, there's guys out there with amazing arms. Jeff George, Nate Davis. Those guys had amazing arms, but right here, if you don't have that, man, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter who the hell you are. You're just not going to get it done, man.
All right, well, you guys let us know in the comments what you guys think about Mark Schlereth's most recent take. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. See y'all next time.
Peace.